What's up, everyone? It's your boy Showtime Doctor. I'm back today with a Cynthia guide. I finally got her build to satisfactory, not all the way. So we'll go over her a little bit here. And before I get too far in, I just want to say this is going to be the start of some videos where you can counter a lot of the tank meta that's going on, the tanky revive meta. And Cynthia is going to figure heavily into that. It's just she needs to be protected differently. So. But we'll get into that probably in another series here once I build up more characters. So let's go. Alright, so Honor 1. Inflicts damage equal to 100% of attack that ignores defense to one enemy. 25% chance to silence the target for a turn. 60% chance to silence the target for one turn if the caster is silenced. So, I guess before I do that, let me show you her passive. Actually, no. We'll go into that. But basically, your one's always going to ignore defense. So it's pretty gnarly, especially against tanks and tanky supports. Chance to silence, it'll go up the higher you got the skill. Unfortunately, I don't have any extra Cynthias at the moment. Next time her banner rolls around, I'm going to have to pull harder on it. But it was just a shame because when the banner was actually out, I was very, I don't know about this character. But as I see her and I start to see, oh, okay, that's why. So, anyways, silence. When you silence someone, they can only use their skill 1, including herself, because she silences herself. That's actually how she grows stronger. And we'll show you here. So Honor 2, penetration damage equal to 80% of attack to all enemies. Silences caster for 1 turn. On a 1-turn cooldown, by the way. So you have anyone with cooldown increase or any of those dungeons where, you bring a certain person and it decreases cooldowns by 1. This is always off cooldown. Now, granted, she's going to be silenced when she does it, so that doesn't necessarily mean she's going to be able to cast it all the time, unless you run her with someone like Rue, who's going to hopefully cleanse the silence, but in general, you want her to be silenced, and so I'll show you why. But this is cool. When you're fighting like a Kali or something like that in PvP, someone who hides, Ramu, etc., you can just flush them out with this on a fairly, short cooldown here, so it's pretty good. And penetration damage helps as well. Honor 3. Inflict penetration damage equal to 165% of attack to 3 enemies. Silences the caster for 3 turns. Inflicts 30% additional damage if there's only 1 target. So you scale that up, it gets to 264. Additional damage coefficient is the only one that ends up changing there. And I apologize, guys, if my voice is weak. I actually have like a really sore throat right now. And who knows what horrible condition I'm coming down with. Hopefully it's not too crazy. But anyways, this is a good ult. The cool thing about it too, besides a little bit of damage on the cone effect, it silences her for 3 turns. So if you could leave that intact, that's pretty gnarly. So we'll look at her leadership real quick. 20% attack to everything. Kind of strange, but there might be some synergies where that becomes, especially on like your farming teams, etc., or like a quick clear team. If you got a bunch of characters with AoEs, maybe you want to run this. But anyway, so why is the reason we want her silence is probably what a lot of you guys are saying. Well, we'll get to that. So on her basic passive, the Castigator, which I wonder if that's a real word, it probably is. I have to look it up. But anyways, 80% chance to apply Melancholy to attack type enemies at the start of the wave. 80% chance at the start of the turn for 2 turns. Decreases damage taken by 40% when attacked by an enemy with Melancholy. Just for the lulz, I'm looking up Castigator. Let's see. But pretty much, Melancholy, for those who don't know, it basically makes it so that your buffs are worthless, no matter how many buffs you have on. So that's pretty gnarly. 80% chance just to inflict on attack types, because attack types thrive on buffs. Especially someone like a Morrigan, or, even this character, but if like Leafa gets some buffs, gets to be pretty gnarly. Decreased damage taken by 40% when attacked by an enemy with Melancholy, so that's a little bit of mitigation there. And so we're going to look at her 60 now, but real quick, the definition of Castigator: a person given to harsh judgments and to finding faults. This sounds like a Spanish Inquisition type thing. Alright, so this is what makes it right here. Pay heavily attention to this silent time. All attacks become critical strikes when the caster is silenced. Increase multi-strike chance by 75%, and counterattack chance by 75%. 80% chance to silence the attacker for 1 turn when attacked. So basically, when she's silenced, this is the reason you do it. All her attacks become critical strikes, just 100% no matter what, as long as she's silenced. Also, it increases your multi-encounter to where every character usually has a base of 5 on both of those, so it's going to be 80% for both. And anytime she gets attacked by someone, there's a chance that they're just going to get silenced, so that's pretty gnarly. So, multi-strike chance and counter chance, you know, you can find a way to give yourself 20%, maybe like depending on what type of stats you're running. I'll show you what I do in a second, but just so once she's silenced, you basically multi-encounter 100% of the time. And so the good part is if someone attacks you, they have a chance to get silenced right off, and then you counter with your 1. Also have a decent chance to silence. And by the way, her 1 ignores defense. So when she's multi-encountering that 100% chance and she's critting the whole time, she's ignoring defense as well. So the only way really to protect against her is, at least for her 1, is to have some type of damage immunity. But on her 2 and her 3 are the things that can penetrate. So it gets kind of gnarly, but you can't cast her 2 and her 3 when it's silent, so that's the protection there. But still, her 1, ignoring defense, 100% critical strike, multi-strike, and counter-strike chance up. That makes her really effing nasty, and especially with Melancholy when you're sealing buffs. You know, if you get Melancholy on an attack target, even if they get a damage immunity, it doesn't matter. She'll go right through Kane's shield, she'll go right through anything. Even Abel's shield, etc. Shields like that cause evasion or absorb damage. To heal. So she gets pretty effing nasty, dude. And the only problem is you can't really run her with someone like Rue, that like most of us that have Rue, we run all our good characters with, because you don't want Rue to dispel the silence. And you can't count on there being multiple debuffs on her all the time. That Rue's not going to get rid of the silence, so that becomes an issue. So what I got on her right now, I only got 2 purple stars. I gave her some attack speed. I'm going to make her a PvP character. She'll be figured into my PvE as well, however, once a couple of dungeons come back. But for now, you know, 6132 attack. You know, you're not really focusing her attack, you're focusing her crit damage, because like we saw earlier, when she's silenced, she's 100% critting. So ideally, you actually want to get this to like 110%. Ideally, eventually, once you get all the purple stars and you get your runes leveled up. I gave her a little bit of accuracy, just to help counter the Aemon. You know, the Aemon ridiculousness with his dodging. And then, you know, there's a couple other things I'll show you later on when I take her out, some other places you can take her. Accuracy is actually not bad on her, and I know Hella's frozen over because of YouTubers telling you that accuracy is actually not bad on her, but to be perfectly honest, it really isn't, so. Not a ton, but get her a little bit. Multi-strike, like you see, like I said earlier, she's going to get 80% right off, 5 base, 75% from being silenced. So try to get her multi and her counter, you know, to around 20%. I already got her counter to 20%. Her multi's at 15, so she's basically multi-ing and countering 95.59, and that's going to be 100% right there. Just so happened I found an evasion rune I could get her. Now, her life is suffering a little bit because I have her as a kill machine. I don't have her as, you know, someone that's going to survive a ton. And that's what your rezzers and stuff are for, and your healers, and, you know, get her a little bit of defense when you can. So here's the runes I'm running her with. I actually gave her counterattack runes. I don't actually use counterattack on most characters, but in this case, I made an exception. So 40% crit damage, I mean, that should be easy to figure out. So there's the accuracy, some attack speed. If you're running her in PvP, try to get her to go as fast as possible so you can get her silenced right off. And then if she starts taking focus damage, you just start whooping people. Crit damage, ideally, you know, you could get triple crit damage, or I could replace the accuracy with crit damage depending on what's going on. On this slot, you know, more attack speed, a little bit of HP for her, because I don't want her to be too squishy. Keep her up. More HP with an evasion. That was the best I could get for her on that slot. on the Revenge rune. Attack, you know, you can't get crit damage on this slot, unfortunately, so I got her attack. Crit damage is better for her, but attack's not terrible. Here's the one counterattack sub I put in. Probably once I level up the, actually, I don't know. I guess... Let me check real quick and see. No, oh yeah, there's a counterattack there. Well, I guess it works out. Because I basically have, as you can see, 15% additional counterattack, and she gets that 5 base. Actually, let me look at the stats. Yeah, that 5 base, so... I mean, if I want to, as I level those up, I can get rid of that rune. And then replace it with, like, either another attack or whatever else is good on this slot. Not sure if crit damage spawns on that one or not. I kind of doubt it, because slot 5, you know how those slot 5 runes are, it's usually accuracy and HP recovery. So right here, this is where I made up for the multi-strike along with crit damage. Now ideally, I would love to run her with triple crit damage on all the slots with crit damage. But if you don't got that, like I don't, you know, you get some attack speed, supplement it with whatever else you can fit in, attack percentage, HP, whatever you feel like doing, so attack speed's gonna be pretty gnarly, because, you know, the purple star attack speed along with 2 runes with attack speed, that should be enough to cover her. Maybe not against the top PvP teams, but still pretty gnarly, so... That's what I do with her. Like I said, you want to get her crit damage as much as possible, that's your main focus. If you run her PvP, attack speed, a little bit of health, you know, accuracy to your taste, evasion to your taste, and try to get her multi-encounter to where it's going to be 15%. Just from your runes. So on her hero talents, I haven't gotten them perfect yet, but I'll show you what I'm doing. Attack, you know, that should be fairly obvious. Unless you really want to turn her into a wind killer, you can go elemental damage. This just recovers HP, which, you know, he's not really there for that. That's on a 6-turn cooldown, so doesn't really matter. Try to get weapon mastery to 3 stars. This... I don't know why I gave her boss damage, to be perfectly honest. I think what happened was I did, I think originally I was going to build her for... Oh, I remember what I was doing. I was going to build her for a certain PvE dungeon. And then I changed my mind midway through when Guild Battle came out and we start to saw that tanky stuff. So I'll probably re-roll that eventually, but... defense. The only problem with getting her defense is... the way that I run her, she doesn't have much bonus defense other than from her runes, and probably the purple star stuff later. But still, you know, 10% defense is good. Now, if you want, if you're scared of people like Tayo or Esna, you can get this decreased elemental damage taken, but in general, I'd recommend defense. Burn, if you have a burn synergy team. That's one thing, maybe that's out there. As you see here, I took the decreased damage taken in Arena, so by then I had chosen that. You can also go this if you want to, but just realize that's going to make her even more squishy, and it's a percentage chance versus a constant decrease. So that's up to you. Blade Twister, critical strike damage, that should be... You know, you don't want chance, because she's going to have 100% chance. Penetration, you know, that might not actually be too bad on her. When attacked, it just depends on how much she gets focused, but if you can get her penetration damage on her 1... There pretty much isn't anything that could stop you. But in general, most of the focus targets you're going to have are going to be attack and supports, and occasionally defense. But usually attacks, so most attackers don't get any type of shield thing that's going to resist Melancholy, which she's going to be inflicting. So try to boost that crit damage as high as you can, in my opinion. And then, you know, there's Silent Time, so we'll look at her purple stars real quick, and then we'll take her out for a spin here. So right here, you know, I already got her first purple star, attack and attack speed, always good, especially for what you pay for it. Second, a little bit of defense and accuracy. Actually not bad for her, both of those. Gonna need some survivability and accuracy to counter the Aemon craziness going on right now, especially if Aemon taunts you, you want to be able to hit him hard since you're ignoring defense, assuming you're silenced. Max HP, always good. Damage to defense types, that's excellent. A little bit more damage, damage on her 1, both excellent as well. Damage to support, eventually you're going to be targeting support. Max HP, excellent, and Do I even need to tell you attack and crit damage is excellent for her, so highly recommend purple stars on her as fast as you can get them. I'm gonna try to get 2 more on her tomorrow. Actually, I forgot one thing before I go back. Hold on here. So let's do... We'll look at what skills you should upgrade. I built her a little custom team here. Oh, I forgot to go into synergies too. Okay, I'll do that next. So skill-wise, to be perfectly honest, I would go for her 1. Because not only you're increasing the damage, you're increasing the chance to silence, and you're increasing... Wait, hold on a second. Oh, yeah. So you get increased damage if, or increased chance to silence if the caster herself is silenced, in this case Cynthia, so... It's to 40 and 80%, so silencing an enemy, you know, unless it's an enemy Cynthia, that's always good. And then, you know, just for the extra damage, because once again, it's ignoring defense, and then when you're silenced yourself, you're multi-striking, you're countering with your 1, and you're freaking critting every time you're silenced, so it's pretty gnarly. And there's no easy way for the enemy to unsilence you. The only ways I can think of, there's that one character, I think she's an SR, that she puts you in that portal or whatever, and it removes all your buffs and debuffs. Yeah, I'm sure there's some other ways to do it, but... otherwise, you know, your 2's just going to increase your attack percentage, doesn't increase, or attack damage. And then your 3, you know, it does additional damage if you have a 1, so if you're doing like a focus thing and it's penetration, hey, maybe you want to go for that and then silence yourself for 3 turns, because that's generally what you start off with in PvP, so... I'd recommend personally her 1, then her 3, then her 2, but, you know, your results may vary. Her 2 is actually going to be really useful in flushing people like Kali out of stealth, or if there's just like tons and tons of ads, something like that. That's going to be pretty fun. And then potential synergies for her, so you'll see the team I got her with right now. Now, obviously, if you got an all-fire team, you have to run an all-fire team. Put Electra here if you got Electra for the 60% bonus damage. But in my case, I don't, so I got the 40% bonus damage with your girl Morgan here. That's going to amp her even more. And now I'm choosing to run her with Sid. Now, I thought about it because of all my potential supports, I don't have Karen. I would run him with Karen if I could, but I don't have Karen. So that blows. So Sid does have a chance, if she's being focused, of dispelling the stun. But Sid also has a 2 that does not dispel, it reduces cooldowns. So that can be pretty gnarly for her, actually. It's about a 40% heal. And odds are, you know, if your tank or whoever's doing their work, they're going to be the lowest one. I also run her with Leafa here. Should be self-explanatory. Leafa increases crit damage by 20% at base, and eventually 40% when you skill her up. Skill up her 2 all the way. And in general, Leafa's just a good character, so, and she's getting that fire bonus damage. And then Eamon, you know, do I even need to explain Eamon to people by now? You've seen him. So, I also have a Ramuh, but I was thinking about Ramuh. The problem with Ramuh is, she will be reducing debuff duration by 1. So potentially, you see the way that, like, let's say you already used your ultimate and it's done with the 3 turns of silence and it's on cooldown still. If you're using her 1, it only silences the caster for a turn, so eventually she's going to have to go between this, etc. But if Ramuh's there, she's potentially going to reduce that to 0, so basically that reduces the effectiveness. So I'd rather do it with Sid versus Ramuh, even though Sid has a chance, but Sid has a very small chance of single target. And you always got the choice, you know, of just not doing anything with Sid. Ideally, though, you'd want to run her with Karen, because if she gets in trouble and you really need to cleanse her, like she's got some really nasty, like, you know, Looming Death or Mental Seal or something, then you can choose to cleanse her, and that's fine, and Karen's turn will come quicker. But the other thing is Karen's reducing skill cooldowns like crazy with her heal, because I believe Karen's 2 is on a 1-turn skill cooldown. It might be 2 turns, but either way, it's really fast. So that would ideally be one of the better supports to run her with. You could also run her with Aika. High kick can give you up to 50% additional health and reduce damage taken. I'm sure there's some other supports like Abel, you know, whatever you feel like running with her, but you do not want to run her with Rue, unfortunately, because Rue will auto cleanse the silence and drastically reduce her DPS. So, and then let me just look at my box and try to think of other potential heroes to run her with. I mean, you could run her if you want to do like you want to counter the burst meta. Run her with Nemesis, Cynthia, and then maybe Morrigan as lead, and then whoever you want for supports like Leaf or Sid would be fine, or whoever in PvP. That combo would work pretty well. Other than that, I'm sure there's some other characters. I just can't think of any. Maybe Damien for the evasion, but then you'd have to give up damage. This guy here, he could actually do some decent CC for her. Yeah, I mean, otherwise, you know, I'm sure there's some other combos out there I'm not seeing, but anyways, let's get to the adventure here. So you all know, if you're around mid-game, the famous, super famous Renta dungeon. Or Renta stomped most of us at the beginning because we didn't realize his evasion was like something ridiculous, like 70% or whatever. But let's roll in. And to be perfectly honest, I could probably auto this dungeon, but just for showcase purposes. This is the team I'm running here. I explained it to you earlier, so let's roll. Oh, man. Gotta stretch. So, I'll show you. Ideally what we want to be doing here. So you go after the big snakes. And we'll do a damage meter, by the way, at the end, so... you know, well, if I do it right now... Yeah, okay, so... Ignore. You already see, she already put the Melancholy on all the attack types, which is apparently all these snakes. So... big snakes, so we can get that stupid debuff out the way. Alright, so we just kill who we please. And I think what happened there was Sid actually did cleanse that debuff because the snakes were targeting her. And she's also my least mitigating hero, so that'll be an issue for a while. I'll have to watch the bird. But so another reason to run her with Eamon is Eamon can guarantee a counter with his 2. Cynthia gets a good counter. And she's not silenced right now, she just did 18k damage, so that's pretty gnarly on her part considering I literally just got our runes to +9. We can do this guy. Alright, so let's silence Cynthia. I'm actually going to ignore the boss with the boss in an attempt to show you more of Cynthia's showcase here. She got that extra counter as you saw. Alright, let's come on, Cynthia. There we go. 40k just like that. And a follow-up 38k. And keep in mind, she's 1 purple star. She's at +9 runes. And I do not have ideally like triple crit damage or even double crit damage runes for her. So I hope you can see the potential there for Miss Cynthia, especially, like I said, I gave her some accuracy just because Renta, you know, in general, he has pretty ridiculous evasion. So in this case, since her silence is up, I don't even know if it's gonna hit her, but if it does, I got lethal. I'll try to get the poison off her, because the way Rento works, he does more damage with poison. And let's see if we can get her. I'll try to get her another silence here. But you see how squishy she is, too. I actually eat it here. Never mind. She silenced herself and she hit for 25k. I think that was without the Leafa buff for damage. Type of attack damage, etc. So you see the damage right there, considering she only really attacked twice the way that I wanted her to. But she got multis and she got some counters off as well. And she missed a couple of the attempts I tried as well, so... as she is now, she's usually not going to outdamage Morgan in a fair environment, but still, she puts out some ridiculous deeps, so... And, yeah, that is your Cynthia showcase, guys, so I highly recommend, if you want to counter this ridiculous guild battle meta, and it's even starting to seep over into regular PvP now, of double, triple tanks, and, you know, double revive, etc. Get yourself a Cynthia, get yourself a good team to protect her, and just let her go, dude. And she will do some wonders for you right now, so... Anyways, this has been your Cynthia showcase, guys. Your Cynthia character analysis. I am Showtimedr, Showtimedr on Twitch. You found my YouTube, look in the notes. We got a Discord there. You can come in, share your experiences, ask some questions. Also, I think I plugged my Twitch already, but if I didn't, twitch.tv/ShowtimeDR. We're super close to 1,000 subscribers, guys, so I wanted to express my appreciation to you for that. And I'm a little under the weather, so I can't stream tonight, and we'll see how I feel tomorrow, but hopefully things will pick up, so get yourself a Cynthia. Be looking, the guides I'm gonna try to do, I'm gonna try to get the, whatever the wolf guy is called. Who else? May and Nemesis, and probably a couple others besides them, but those are the three I'm aiming for right now that I'm working on, so... Once I get them to the level where I feel like I know them well enough and I get them to a level where I can showcase them properly, I will show you guys the ins and outs of those characters and some things to consider. So anyways, guys, Showtimedr. Have yourselves a wonderful evening, day, night, whatever it may be. Peace.